In a recent press briefing, Vietnam's foreign ministry reiterated its claim over the entire Paracel Island group, citing historical evidence and legal grounds to affirm sovereignty over these islands, including Antelope Reef, in accordance with international law. The ministry emphasized that any foreign activities conducted in the area without Vietnam's permission are considered completely illegal and invalid. This statement, although a response to a journalist's question rather than a proactive diplomatic démarche, signals rising tensions in the region due to China's continued island-building efforts. The situation underscores Vietnam's complex position in the South China Sea dispute, a long-standing territorial conflict involving multiple nations, including China, the Philippines, and Vietnam. Historically, the Paracel Islands have been a contentious point, with China seizing control of them in 1947. Since then, China has fortified its hold by constructing what some describe as a paramilitary wall around the Crescent Group, effectively blocking Vietnam's access. The geopolitical dynamics in the South China Sea are further complicated by power asymmetries. Vietnam finds itself in a precarious position, unable to alter the status quo on the ground. Despite strong words affirming its sovereignty, Vietnam's capacity to project power in the region is limited, pushing Hanoi to engage in diplomatic negotiations with Beijing, albeit behind closed doors. The absence of external pressure from major powers like the United States further constrains Vietnam, compelling it to tread carefully and strategically navigate its relationship with China. Amidst these developments, there is speculation about Vietnam potentially deepening its security ties with the United States as a counterbalance to China's expanding influence in the region. Historically, Vietnam has taken a more reserved approach compared to the Philippines, which has been more vocal about the territorial disputes in the South China Sea. Vietnam's strategy of maintaining a balanced relationship with Beijing has afforded it some strategic leeway, but this might change as the dynamics evolve. China's rapid development of its military bases in the South China Sea, particularly on key features like Mischief Reef, Subi Reef, and Fiery Cross Reef in the Spratly Islands, reflects a clear shift in its strategic posture. The potential transformation of Antelope Reef into a major base could further solidify China's dominance in the region. This development could have significant implications for Vietnam, impacting its access to resources such as fishing, deep-sea mining, and oil exploration in the disputed waters. The construction of these bases represents a broader pattern of Chinese expansion in the South China Sea. By establishing facilities closer to its mainland, China enhances its supply chain security and reinforces its control over the area. The proximity of Antelope Reef to China's Sanya Naval Base on Hainan Island, a key hub for its nuclear submarines, is a strategic advantage. This allows for increased operational range for Chinese submarines and bolsters China's surveillance and logistical capabilities in the North China Sea, affecting potential contingencies involving not just Vietnam, but also Taiwan and the Philippines. As the Philippines assumes the presidency of ASEAN, it faces the challenge of navigating these tensions while adhering to a rules-based order. The Philippines has historically complied with the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea docks, distinguishing itself from China, which has engaged in large-scale island-building activities. This compliance allows the Philippines to occupy the moral high ground in the dispute, which could be leveraged to advance a binding code of conduct among ASEAN members. However, achieving consensus within ASEAN is fraught with challenges. The diverse approaches of member states, particularly the contrasting strategies of the Philippines and Vietnam, complicate efforts to present a unified front. While the Philippines may push for stronger language around a code of conduct and encourage more documentation and coalition building, internal ASEAN dynamics and external pressures, such as the need for energy resources, could influence its stance. The evolving situation in the South China Sea highlights the intricate balance of power and diplomacy in the region. As China continues its assertive actions, countries like Vietnam and the Philippines must navigate a complex web of alliances, strategic interests, and regional dynamics. The outcome of these diplomatic maneuvers will have far-reaching implications for the stability and security of the Indo-Pacific region. In the intricate web of South China Sea disputes, Vietnam's recent reaffirmation of its sovereignty over the Paracel Islands underscores the enduring nature of territorial conflicts in this geopolitically sensitive region. The e-declaration by Vietnam's foreign ministry asserting historical evidence and legal rights over the islands, including Antelope Reef, was a response to escalating tensions due to China's continued island-building activities. This statement, while not a formal diplomatic move, highlights the simmering unease and strategic maneuvering among nations competing for dominance in the South China Sea. The Paracel Islands have been a flashpoint since China asserted control in 1947, constructing military installations that effectively block Vietnamese access. This military fortification has turned the region into a fortified barrier, complicating Vietnam's claims and limiting its ability to assert sovereignty. The geopolitical dynamics are further strained by the power asymmetry between Vietnam and China, with Vietnam facing significant challenges in altering the current status quo. Vietnam's response to China's actions is marked by a cautious approach. The country's limited military capacity, compared to China's formidable presence in the region, necessitates a strategic diplomatic engagement with Beijing. This delicate balancing act is compounded by the absence of strong external backing from global powers like the United States, which could otherwise bolster Vietnam's position. Consequently, Vietnam has opted to engage China diplomatically, seeking to maintain a semblance of control over its territorial claims while avoiding direct confrontation. The possibility of Vietnam strengthening security ties with the United States emerges as a potential strategy to counterbalance China's influence. Historically, Vietnam has adopted a more reserved stance compared to the Philippines, which has been vocally assertive in its territorial claims. This strategic leeway has allowed Vietnam to maintain a more constructive relationship with Beijing, potentially enabling it to navigate the complexities of the South China Sea dispute with greater flexibility. The contrasting approaches of Vietnam and the Philippines are indicative of the broader strategic calculus in the region. While the Philippines has been more vocal and confrontational, Vietnam has opted for a quieter, more diplomatic route. This difference in strategy reflects the nuanced considerations each country faces in managing their respective relationships with China and other regional powers. The strategic importance of the South China Sea cannot be overstated. The region is a vital maritime corridor, rich in resources such as fish and oil, and its control is crucial for the economic and strategic interests of the surrounding nations. China's island building and militarization efforts are viewed by many as attempts to establish a dominant presence, bolstering its claims and securing strategic advantages. The development of China's military infrastructure, including bases on Mischief Reef, Subi Reef, and Fiery Cross Reef in the Spratlys, is part of a broader strategy to extend its reach and influence across the South China Sea. The construction of these bases has been met with international concern as they potentially serve as launching points for projecting power throughout the region. The strategic implications of China's actions are profound. The proximity of these installations to Vietnam and other Southeast Asian nations underscores the potential for escalating tensions. The presence of military bases enables China to exert greater control over the South China Sea, potentially impacting regional stability and freedom of navigation. The Sanya nuclear submarine base on Hainan Island is a key strategic asset for China, enhancing its naval capabilities and operational reach. The base's location provides China with a strategic advantage, allowing for increased surveillance and logistical support across the region. This capability is crucial for China's broader strategic objectives, including its ambitions in the South China Sea and beyond. The evolving dynamics in the South China Sea have significant implications for regional security and stability. The rivalry between China and other claimant states, combined with the involvement of external powers like the United States, creates a complex and potentially volatile environment. The strategic maneuvers of regional players, along with the broader geopolitical context, will continue to shape the future of this critical maritime region. Amidst these tensions, the role of ASEAN becomes increasingly important. As a regional organization, ASEAN has the potential to mediate disputes and foster dialogue among its member states. However, the divergent interests and approaches of its members present challenges to achieving a unified stance. The Philippines, as the current chair of ASEAN, faces the daunting task of navigating these complexities while promoting regional cooperation and adherence to international law. The South China Sea dispute is a microcosm of broader global geopolitical trends reflecting the interplay of national interests, regional rivalries, and international power dynamics. As nations continue to assert their claims and navigate the intricate web of alliances and rivalries, the South China Sea remains a focal point for strategic competition and a litmus test for the future of regional and global stability.